Hey guys, okay, welcome to my 500/600 subscriber special questionnaire thingy-mabobby doohickey. So that's what happens when you procrastinate. I originally had this idea when I was like right at 500 subscribers, and then by the time I got around to asking for questions, I then had a couple of videos that did really well. So here we are sitting at a little over 600 subscribers doing a 500 subscriber special. So that's cool. But anyway, thank you so much to everybody who asked questions. I really appreciate them. I just really love comments in general. I really love interacting with you guys. So let's start out with a really difficult question. Hi, how are you? Like genuinely, I'm doing fabulous. It is getting towards the end of the semester, so shit's going crazy, but I am doing great. Thank you for asking, Noah. What's your favorite thing to throw on the wheel? Thank you, Megan. My favorite thing to throw on the wheel is probably gonna have to be like the mugs that I throw, the like really curvy mugs. I've gotten pretty good at them and I can make them really consistently. So that's my favorite thing to throw right now. But who knows, that might be liable to change. Um, this isn't really a question, but somebody basically told me that I needed to get better lighting. I would love to invest in more materials for this. I'm sorry, I kind of like cut off their name, but I would love to invest in better materials for this channel, but it does need to be something that's sustainable and makes sense. So maybe in the future, I would love to get into like better editing and, I do everything on my phone right now. So maybe in the future. How much are they? Referring to some mugs. It really depends. If I were, so I'm not really sure, but we did have like a nice little conversation about it, and they said $120 is what they would spend on that mug. That's wild. I probably wouldn't charge that much. Pancakes or waffles? And pancakes or waffles? Another very difficult question. I do think I'm gonna have to go with waffles because they are the optimal butter receptacle, but I mean both are very good options. I'm just not much of a syrup person. So that's a fun fact about me is I eat my pancakes and waffles with just butter. But I think I'm gonna have to go with waffles, but a good pancake is pretty great. Rebecca, a summary of their question is basically how to get into ceramics, especially as an adult. And I would recommend just trying to find a studio that takes adult classes. My university actually offers adult classes to people who aren't like students at the university. So I would suspect that a lot of other ceramics programs also do that as just like a secondary way of income. But there are so many ways to get into doing pottery besides like actual ceramic works, which is like the fired clay. So if you wanted like air dry clay, oven baked clay, like if you just want to make stuff out of clay, there are so many options. But if throwing is what you're really interested in, I would definitely recommend finding a studio that'll take you that offers classes. Because this it's weird because like the actual making of pottery is quite cheap, like clay is very cheap. But it's the investment cost, like the wheel and the kiln and those kind of things. So if you can find a space that already has those and is willing to teach you, that's definitely going to be your best option. Um, this one, I did make an entire video on it, but I do want to just reiterate it and state it and make it very clear to everyone. What is your opinion on trans people? That was asked by Sylvia. Sylvia, my opinion on trans people is that they are just people who deserve love and respect and kindness. And if you care what's between somebody's legs, especially if it's just a stranger on the internet, like that's a little weird and creepy. So maybe don't care about what's between a stranger's legs. Like why are we transvestigating people? Love that word. Best word I've ever seen on the internet. But yeah, trans people are people who deserve love and respect and kindness. And that's not a political statement. It shouldn't be. And stop making it one. Um, what is the biggest challenge for you in the pottery making process? I'm going to have to say throwing anything tall. I really struggle. Like once I'm pulling up walls, there's like a certain point where I hit where I'm just less stable. And I really struggle with like taller objects. So that's something I'm really working on right now. But something I can also really struggle with, especially in like this collegiate college setting where I'm given prompts, is trying to figure out a way to like take the prompt and make it work for a way that is, makes sense to me. So sometimes I can really struggle with that like initial concept. But yeah, in general, I would just say like throwing tall things. And that question was from Sakura. I'm sorry, I'm not 100% how to pronounce that. They actually asked the next two questions. Do you sell your work anywhere? Yes and no. So we do a lot of like sales at our school, like student sales. And I have signed up for every single sale I possibly could just to kind of see like what people are interested in and try to make a little bit of extra cash. I'm a very let's go with the word prolific. I make a lot of things, and I fire everything. I would say probably one of my greatest strengths in pottery is saving things that I probably shouldn't. So like if I throw something on the wheel and it's not perfect and it wasn't, it was intended to be one thing, but it looks more like another, I'm just going to fire it. Like if I was trying to make a mug and it turns into a bowl, well, guess what? It's a bowl. That's what the clay wanted to be. Um, so I end up with a lot of stuff. I end up with a lot of stuff. So I do the student sales, but I don't currently have like an Etsy shop or a way to sell things online. I do recognize that like now that I'm posting content on the internet and I've really started focusing on my art content, because if you've been around for a while, you might know that I made more than just art content, even just a couple of months ago. But that's kind of what's really taken off on my channel, and that's what I'm really passionate about. So I'm not super sad that I'm not like posting a lot of trend videos, although I might do that again in the future. We'll see. But so in the future, I might start like if I have enough inventory. Really, car? I'm hiding. I'm literally hiding in my car. So there are bad sounds. Anyway, so if I get to a point where I feel like really comfortable, and I have like enough of an inventory and I can figure out how to package things, because packaging things is really difficult when it comes to pottery. I've only mailed one ceramic piece and it was to my grandma, and I basically sent her a like Russian nesting doll of boxes covered in bubble wrap. I'm pretty sure you could have drop kicked that box across the country and it wouldn't have broken. Um, but so I'm just really leery about shipping and like the cost of things. Like I know if I were to sell my art online, I would have to sell it for a lot more than what I'm currently comfortable selling it for. So like when I do student sales, some things that like realistically I know in a professional setting I could sell for over $100, I'm selling for like that $30 price range. I don't really pay for materials because I'm in college. So it's just easier for me to do that. But yeah, so in the future, yes, kind of yes, but also not really. How long have you been making pottery for? Also from Sakura. Sakura, Sira, Sira Kira. I'm sorry that your name is very interestingly spelled, and I think the T is silent. If it's not, I'm very sorry. Um, how long have you been making pottery for? About 2 years. I basically stumbled into the art department. So yeah, I've got about 2 years of pottery experience. I've taken a class every semester since I took my first ceramics class. So it's kind of crazy to think about too, because I feel like I haven't been making pottery that long, but I also feel like I've gotten really good. But it has also been 2 years. Well, really good, like with some air quotes around it. There are some things I'm better at than others for sure. How old are you and how did you decide to do pottery? I am 28 years old. I feel like a lot of people won't necessarily know that just because I am in college. There's this expectation that you're in that like 18 to 21-year-old range, but I'm a non-traditional student. My background was actually in sales. I sold like roofing and home improvements and stuff like that. I also like sold cars for a while. I was a ballroom dance instructor for 6 months. They hired us with no experience. I can't necessarily actually dance. I can literally just remember the waltz. But da, 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 da. So when basically the pandemic happened and I realized I didn't want to do sales anymore, so I went back to college. I got a liberal arts degree, my 2-year degree, and then decided to get a 4-year degree in philosophy. I've almost finished that degree, and then I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for my minor. I ended up getting an art minor, and this semester would have been my last semester taking art classes if I hadn't decided to double major. So I decided to double major so I could take more art classes. And yeah, so I just stumbled into ceramics. I really love it. There's a very real possibility that I might try to do this for the rest of my life, because as much as I love, like originally my direction, I was thinking about going to law school. And I do still love the like academic side of things, and I do consider myself like an intellectual. But what really makes me happy when I sit down and think about what I want to do every day for the rest of my life, it's make pottery. Like I never get bored. I can spend 12, 14 hours in the studio and not realize I've been there for that long. So yeah, I just love pottery. And that question was from Bricks. Thank you so much, Bricks. I think I over answered your question, but this question is from Early Worm. So Early Worm says, my question is, what are your top 3 favorite ways to make art? My favorite ways to make art are going to have to be ceramics, but Bob Ross taught me how to paint. So landscapes are something I just absolutely love to do. I also really like water media, like watercolor. I got really into that. But recently I did an ink drawing, and I also really enjoy that. And I feel like there's an honorable mention to singing, because growing up singing was like my passion. These next two questions are from Joe. Hi, Joe. Joe is like my number one subscriber. I love him very much. He like comments on everything and he's just very supportive of my channel. So I just want to give a special thanks to Joe. Like if I feel like if I had a Patreon, he would be like my top Patreon. Um, Not even like in a monetary way. I'm not saying he would give me money. I just really appreciate you. Thank you, Joe. You're really really a sweetheart. Um, and Joe asked, what kind of things do you like to do besides what I see in your videos? I love outdoorsy things. I'm really into backpacking and hiking. Every year I go to Alaska. It's beautiful. It makes me a very happy person. I'm actually going this winter. So that'll be really fun. Hopefully I'll get to see some good northern lights. So yeah, backpacking, hiking. I go with my dog. My dog is always with me. So outdoorsy stuff. I also like rock climbing and stuff like that. And just like obviously I do a bunch of different kinds of art. Like I mostly show ceramics, but I do other kinds of art. Probably end up having to show more of that off because I am running out of ceramics classes after next semester. So you guys are probably going to see some paintings after that because studio access is going to be more difficult. And then Joe asked as the last question, what is your favorite food that you love to eat that never gets old? And there are a couple of things that would be the answer to this, but I feel like I objectively have to say apples. So we recently did a project in my drawing class where we had to pick our favorite food and make like an Andy Warhol like pop art kind of thing, and I had to go with apples because growing up I was obsessed with apples. I ate like they probably were literally what sustained me. I didn't drink water, I ate apples. Apples, green beans, and chocolate milk basically kept me alive. So I picked apples for that project, and it feels disingenuous to pick anything else. Um, but I also just like, I'm a big soup person. I really like soup. But objectively, truthfully, the real answer to this is coffee or like lattes. I'm a big milk drinker. I know that kind of grosses some people out, but I drink a lot of lattes, a lot of teas with milk. I'm just a big milk person. I probably get a lot of calories from my milk, a lot of protein. I'm not a big meat eater, not like vegan or vegetarian or anything, but I'm what I consider myself to be meat conscious. Um, anyway, so that was the last question. Thank you so much, everybody, for asking your questions. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I'm sorry this is such like a weird video. I really tried to do it like in landscape so I could post like a proper long form content video, and I thought about doing like a live questionnaire thing, but it was really hard trying to figure out how to like look at the questions, and then like I could have printed them off, but that seems really awkward and weird, and finding somewhere that's quiet is really difficult. As you know, I'm literally hiding in my very hot sweltering car right now, so I really need to go inside as I am starting to sweat. But thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for like getting me to 600 subscribers. I've only been posting like consistently for a good couple of months now, and that feels like massive growth in a really short amount of time. Like, I recognize in the grand scale that it's not a lot of people, but also it feels like a massive amount of people. So, thank you so much, guys. I don't know where my channel's going in the future. I don't know what I'm doing. I know I'm probably going to be more focused on my art content because I feel like that's what you guys like and that's what I really enjoy doing. But I don't want to limit myself to any one particular thing. I just want to say thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. I know I've said that like 8 times, but I really do love you guys. Like it's really cool. I've started to cultivate like a very positive community, and I'm just really appreciate you guys. Y'all are really loving and accepting, and fabulous. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day.